A world plunged into water. This short story was inspired by the 1946 tsunami that took place in the Dominican Republic. Isandra peeked out at the ocean from behind a palm tree. It was easier to look at the sea churning before her than at the destruction strewn behind her. Breathing in the familiar saline scent of the ocean, Isandra could almost pretend that the earthquake had never occurred. Only a month ago, her family had been laughing and smiling in the kitchen, celebrating her 12th birthday. Now they huddled on a hilltop, praying for help to arrive. "Isandra, stay close by me," a voice broke through the chatter of the currents. Isandra twisted around to see her mother beckoning to her. As Isandra trudged over with her bare feet scratching the rough grass and sand, she tried hard to keep her eyes trained on her mother's slouched shoulders and tear-stained cheeks. She could not let her attention drift to the surrounding toppled trees and dwellings. Isandra's father and her two older brothers were scrounging the debris for scraps. Meanwhile, her mother stood alone in the clearing that the family had claimed as a shelter. "Are you cold?" her mother choked out in Dominican Spanish. Isandra shook her head, while her body, covered simply by a ratty pink dress, tingled from the wind's chill. She was about to return to watching the ocean when the ground trembled under her feet. Her body shook and memories plunged into her brain. In her mind, the ceiling was dipping her toward her head again. The house was groaning. Her parents were screaming. Strong, warm arms were wrapping around her chest. The ground stilled. Isandra collapsed onto the grass beside her mother. The scent of soil shoved its way up her nose, and she wiped silt and sand off her cheeks. "Isandra, Adelita, are you all right?" her father was shouting in the distance. Isandra groaned and hugged her stomach. She could hear footsteps thumping in her direction. She blinked her eyes to see her brothers and father standing over her. Iabi, who was 2 years older than her, was peering out at the ocean with his eyebrows furrowed. Her eldest brother, Ariel, knelt down to pull Isandra to her feet. "Pai," Iabi said. His voice possessed a tremor. "Something is happening with the water." Isandra, still shaking slightly, turned to face the shore. She frowned. The water had receded deep into the ocean, leaving behind a large expanse of wet golden sand that glistened airily in contrast to the gray morning sky. A sharp breeze flicked by her cheek, and the scent of salt overpowered her senses. Her mother stood up and grasped onto Isandra's arm. "This is unnatural." She turned to face her husband. "Ersmandi, we have to go." She began tugging on Isandra to move. Curiosity billowed in Isandra's heart, and she held her ground, ignoring her mother's gestures. She yanked away from her parent and began stepping toward the edge of the slope. Far out in the sea, the ocean had begun to heighten. A wall of dark blue swayed as more water from the shore lunged into it. The current's clamoring hushed. "It's so far away," Isandra thought to herself. "It can't hurt us." "Isandra," she heard Ariel's timid voice pleading. "Come back. The boys and I saw more families farther inland. We can join them and wait for assistance there," her father was saying. "Isandra, listen to your brother. Get back here." The wind had calmed, and, for a moment, everything seemed so quiet and peaceful. The palm tree she had been standing next to swayed gently. The briny air nuzzled her nose playfully. The sounds of her family beckoning her to return faded into the background. Then a new noise funneled into her ears. Isandra narrowed her eyes as the wall of water shattered against the sand in a whirl of white. It was almost as if plumes of thick smoke were rushing toward her. The ground drummed, and only her fear of the current disaster kept memories of the earthquake from re-entering her mind. She scampered over to her parents and clutched her mother's warm hand. "We have to run," her father said, his voice barely audible over the ocean's surge. His dark brown eyes were wide as he watched the white torrent of water roll towards them. The wave had made it to the base of the hill and was now racing toward the palm tree at the slope's edge. Without hesitation, the family of five scurried from the wave. They did not notice the splinters of wood slicing their feet or the stones jabbing at their skin. All that they could process was their need to escape. They clambered and jumped over rubble and fallen trees. They ducked underneath broken arches and doorways. The ocean's roar cried in their ears, forcing them to keep going. Far in the distance, they could just see a mass of people running farther and farther into the only horizon they could see. Isandra took one last glance behind her. The wave had smashed into the palm tree and was now dragging it away.